that's how it goes. We won't open our eyes, so we're the last ones to know. We're the last ones alive, kept our enemies close, wondered why we don't thrive while we're grasping at ghosts, wondered counting backwards from 5, counting backwards from 5, counting backwards from 5.
Count back from 5. The theater on fire, the cast on strike. The studio stock starts taking a dive. The contract's tossed and they're gone with the tide. The heads and execs, their hands are tied. We can't pump this dreck and treat you right. But what do you expect from the industry type who survive by the leeching of bodies and minds? From those who original thoughts never seem to find. So they're gonna reboot ALF before your wages rise. And it gives cause to pause and reflect on the times. If they're losing control of their fools and their mimes, when all those obedient actors who grew their careers by averting their eyes are now holding the line, along with the authors of countless scripts that strengthen the hand of that corporate grip, squeezing our throats till we take the pen and we accept and consent to the corporate drip, till you're all up to date on your pharma du jour, till you got a healthy support for the war on your lips. And now you know that the advertisers need more than a rerun summer full of flashback clips. Enter the scans from the year before, all the days of de-aging and mapping the face, and the hours of actors recording their voices are links in the chains that will bind them in place. Now all of those shows are so easy to make. When they got a drone they control that needs no break, it can bend, it can break, and it's cheaply replaced enough up-to-date films all in one take. And those studios bank on us doing our duty, unhinging our jaws and digesting the fakes, because they know that we'll love how synthetic it tastes. Watch as they edit your features without any trace. Not that there's anything you could do anyway. Now watch as they show you a movie you used saying shit you would never say. Dystopia boldly accelerates. Maybe you're only a mold, something to fill with a clone, something that Elon would celebrate. Something they own, something they program and code, something that's woefully able to know it's exanimate. Cause it doesn't feel touch over top of the laminate. You will not feel an emotion, but they will not scan and examine it. You and the other consumer contaminants fed on the federal diet of Kiev, Havana, and Tiananmen. I can't be the only one weighing the pros of abandonment. I can't be the only one weighing the pros of abandonment.
Where did you think we'd go? Love, there's nowhere to lie. Guess it's not who you know, more it's what you can hide. Like we're chained to the floor, they're streaming us live while we're watching the war, counting backwards from 5, counting backwards from 5, counting backwards from 5, counting backwards.
Said, thank you, Obama, for life in the red. Thank you for DAP and a pat on the head. Thank you for saving the banks as millions are drowning in their debt. Thank you for all of the fluff and the nothing you said. Thank you for proving we eat up identity politics. All of your policy better forgotten. Just tell us what books you read. Tell us what record was top of your playlist, turning a wedding to Day of the Dead. What Quavo song went along on a heavy rotation, bombing Iraqis in bed. When they told you that 90% of your kills are civilian, what Jill Scott chorus was stuck in your head? What put you at rest after such a long day of convincing a nation it wasn't so deeply misled, that you weren't just Reagan with New Age media training, who fed on our hopes like his daily bread, who preyed on the weak, who was never unwilling to serve you a speech to remind you the middle class needed to bleed, and you helped us succeed if you learned to accept it, and better yet, learn how to laugh as they bled. Round of applause, laughter erupts, mic gets dropped, it's the end of his set. And the crowd once hungry are now unstunned from the glow of celebrity, which is impressive, especially since they're contented to sit and be civil while all of the donors are fed. They thin out the herd by 1 million a week if it gives the elite an illusion of peace, like they're out of the path of the future we reap, and they won't be debris in the wake of its tread. But the future is now, bathe in the sound, drown in the dread. Hide in the lounge, hire more guards at your gatehouse, hire someone to come build you a safe house under your shed. Hide with your diamonds and files, the files you keep to yourself and the files you keep for the feds. Hide in the dark for a while and watch all the value regress. Watch all the worth of your wealth on this earth melt down in a pool with the rest of the cess. The affluence left over after the worldly collapse of the affluent. After it's back to the dirt with the rights of their birth, privileged smirks and their unpaid taxes, #blast. This has all been a nightmare, capitalism was only a test. So you need not weep and you need not repeat what the liberals said. We will not be saved by people who say that the water is safe while they look in your face and they pantomime sips of lead. Honey, nobody's lifting us out of this mess. Honey, nobody's lifting us out of this mess.
I guess this isn't such an awful place. Is that what you want me to say? You prove it's possible to sleep for days and to still think you're right here awake. The cost of living isn't much to make, but God, it's so hard to save. And when they told you everything was safe, were you safe? Were you safe? Were you safe? Were you safe? I guess this isn't such an awful place. Is that what you want me to say? You prove it's possible to sleep for days and to still think you're right here awake. The cost of living isn't much to make, but God, it's so hard to say. And when they told you everything was safe, were you safe? Were you safe? Were you safe? Were you safe?
Fresh off the masses, the brand new cancerous growth, who has come here to vie for your vote. Come here to cry at the camps and to mourn at the shore for the bodies that float by the wreck of an immigrant boat. Then it's back to their luxury home, couple security booths and a moat. Couple cigars, little escargot, little booze and a soak. Just breathe in the steam and the smoke. Pink salt, lavender, candles are low. Shit, when you do what you do, gotta lighten the load. And he got a life of his own that's a sight to behold. And it's a lot to control, to decipher the code or to siphon the soul. The cost of a good night's sleep for the working elite is a bargain, no matter the toll. Worth any wager, and that comes straight from the mouth of the means to the goal that will swallow us whole. Ripe for the picking if you don't mind mold, and you know I don't. Maybe we're pleasantly prone, maybe we're taking a licking, compliantly ticking and ticking and ticking, but never explode. No, I don't deliver the prettiest image, but damn if it isn't an accurate vision of natural fission, of rage at the system and abject heartbreak, patiently waiting for any who'll listen. That little blue bird who was watching your words is a federal carrier pigeon, a Langley first. It's a patient observer who hears what it wants and is trained for the worst. Oh, you got nothing to hide. They'll be the ones to decide that after they root through your purse, after they read all your text, after they raid your apartment, confiscate all of its contents, then conjure up evidence out of the air on a wing and a prayer and malicious intelligence nonsense. Any presumption of innocence long since gone, right along with your comforts and constants. Historically first they will come for the communists. So why in the fuck would I say I'm a communist? Well, it might be I love my community more than the monsters of opulence who are holding us hostage, who are vomiting promises. Might be I'm all done seeing our pensions and benefits harvested. Might be I'm all done watching the populace being disarmed in the guise of an armistice. Watching a woman collapse on the floor who will rise no more. She is wheeled out the door and you're next in line for the pharmacist. If you can get me to vote, it's a hard no confidence. But part of the charm of deception is politics wearing the mask of incompetence. It's all in the art of austerity, darling. It's all in the slide of the providence. Until home is as wide as your cubicle height and is only as deep as your coffin is. Maybe I'm miles away from impatience, aching to break off the head of the snake where the capital lust, reptile brain, and the margin of profit is. Like off with his. Like off with his.
I guess this isn't such an awful place. Is that what you want me to say? You prove it's possible to sleep for days and to still think you're right here awake. The cost of living isn't much to make, but God, it's so hard to save. And when they told you everything was safe, were you safe? They won't let you go, set you free, or send you home. Wait, please say you know what you need is what you owed, and they won't let you go, set you free, send you home. Is what you owed, and then
I was close enough to smell the fire. Jesus took the wheel and then he kicked me off the ride. I was busy shouting at myself from in the crowd, about to throw down and drag myself outside. I had to give myself the business. When I show myself forgiveness, it goes right between the eyes. Was looking past my shoulder, never focused on the prize. I stalked myself through burning sand the better part of 40 nights. I found myself staring in the mirror, yelling, go into the light. Cause I was in the rear view, staring at the highway, horrified. I was in the road ahead, arms wide, ready to be mummified. Gonna be the fella yelling how he's sick of always betting on his life. I'll also be the guy that brought the dice. Half a dozen chambers and I keep an empty 5. Only needed one to break the ice. Only needed one to clear my mind. Only needed one to stop time.
Wait, please say you know what you need is what you owe.
be the guy that brought the dice.
Wait, so if you don't trust the CIA or you don't trust like our institutions, then what do you trust? Wait, so if you don't trust the CIA or you don't trust like our institutions, then what do you trust?
Oh, I don't know what's going on with that. Hi, everybody. It's Sunday night. It's How Do We Miss That? But wait a minute. What is this? What is this? This looks like Jack Skellington almost. But no, this is Formal Indie. And Formal Reef, look, he's wearing a tux, everybody. I got Reef over here, and he's wearing a tux, and I'm wearing a tux. And now I kind of... So, you know, we've been working on something...
I even have...
Go ahead.
I even have my champanga banga.
Champagne banga.
My champanga banga.
Hey, everybody. Yeah, this is a little different tonight, right? Like, I decided to try to do something different and get a little fancy and formal for the awards and dress up. So I can't really dress up. I'm not wearing a suit. I am wearing pants. Pants check. Pants, yes. But we are wearing tuxedos. So... yeah, tonight is a very special. How do we miss that? It's the Indie Media Awards, 3rd annual. Oh my goodness. I promised myself I wasn't going to do this. Yeah, so it's
Pull
been
yourself together.
Go ahead. Do you have anything that you have to say about this week? What's going on before I what?
Not really.
Not really. Okay. Well, yeah, you didn't have INN news this week, so you've kind of had like almost 2 weeks off at this point. Well, since last Sunday,
Yep.
So 1 week off. And what did we do with the network? No, we didn't do very much this week. No, nothing was going on, right? If you check out the newsletter,
we had a Anna Schmercery, I think. This week, right?
Kinda. I think it's next week technically, but I mean. That's a whole thing. Yeah, for 3 years of the network, the first meeting was October 15th, but the first launch of the Substack and all the stuff was November 6th. So that's kind of funny. It's the day after Election Day. But we are here tonight. Yep, go ahead.
I have this. You know what that is?
Is that a cork for a champagne?
Yep, that's from the bottle of Chandon we opened on our first anniversary.
Holy crap.
So, in the first awards, kept that.
Right? So that's 2 years
just
ago.
For sentimentals. Yep.
So in 2022, let me kind of, for those who haven't been around and don't know the story behind what the Indie Media Awards are and why we're doing this. In August of 2022, I turned to Misty, who I was working with on a bunch of different things, said, we should be celebrating and doing something for all the independent people. They don't really get awards. They don't give out any kind of, Oscars or that's not why they do this. They don't make big money. So maybe we can do something for them. And I'd like to do that. So as someone who built an aggregator website and sees like a clearinghouse of independent media, kind of been able to see who has the most consistent stories over time that have been true and accurate. and have been different and countered mainstream, kind of narratives and anti-capitalist. Support of Julian Assange was very important, of course, in the last year. It's also been support of Palestine, the Palestinian effort to, and
Yep.
protesting against the genocide that's happening right now. So these are brave, outspoken, many times censored journalists and creators. This group of independents also goes often unrecognized in an ocean of media across a multitude of platforms and formats. They rarely get the big payout. That's not why they're doing this. But we can at the very least give a big thank you and show a small token of our appreciation for their work. And again, this is not to slight anyone, all right? These are people that there are dozens of others that we could have potentially chosen. There were some that it was pretty much right down to the end, what was going to do. But these are the people in the organizations whose content we have most consistently featured and have appeared in the content that we've shared on our shows and produced over the last 3 years that INN has existed. And even before that, since How Do We Miss That? And Independent Left News when it existed, and Indie Media Today from what I feature, and INN News, and all the different shows on the network, okay? So that is the criteria for how we chose, who we chose. A lot of it, honestly, was driven by me, but we certainly had it open to others. I opened it up to everyone in the network, and I put that out to everyone. Is there any issue with anyone here? Is there anyone that I'm missing? Is there anybody that you think belongs here? And it was an open conversation among everyone. It's just not just one person just going, "Yep, these are the favorites that I have." This is this is a group-wide decision. So it's endorsed by INN. I have shown this list to Misty. She's okay with it. So the class of 2024 is a little smaller than the last two. The initial class, the inaugural class, had 38 honorees, and then last year it was 30. This year we've got 19 members, which is 9 journalists, and we've got 3 live streamers and podcasters and 5 outlets that we're featuring, and 3 activists / special honorees. And you guys are gonna understand when we show who the special honorees are. All right. So we've been working, I'm sure many of you know the QR codes up there right now are to support independent media with the Zago brothers, and they created the independent art that you see, that you've already started to see across Twitter and across thumbnails, across the entire Indie Media Awards website already. So before we get started, I just wanted to put that up. So if we still do owe Lucio a couple of $100, well worth it. We really appreciate everything that everybody's given. If you can't give, that's totally understandable. We totally get it. Please share this show, share the Indie Media Awards Substack, share INN newsletter, share all of our content, please. That's how you can help us if you can't contribute. But if you can, those QR codes are the best way to do it. That goes to our Ko-fi, the darker one, and the light one on the side now goes to our Cash App, and that goes right to our bank basically within a couple days with no fees. So we like Cash App. So hook us up there if you're able to, and you have the means, and you can see that in the scrolling ticker as well. But support independent media. We need it more than ever. All right. So are you ready? I mean, you've looked at it for a while, but nobody else really has. We'll start by going to the Indie Media Awards website, and I'll close my notifications. But before we do that, let me share my screen with Mr. Reef so that he sees what I'm seeing. And action. Okay. So he's got that. And if I'm going to play any sound, let me make sure that the sound is on to Mr. Reef, which it is. Perfect. All right. Let's hit it. Yay. All right. So for those who haven't been there, this is the indiemediaawards.substack.com website. The announcement about who we're featuring and what we're doing. I think we might have played this at the end of last Sunday's show. Sure I can. Hold on. There we go. All right, so we put that little teaser together. We sent that out to everyone. So if you subscribed, you would have gotten that. So this is the new page that has been published tonight, featuring all of the 2024 Indie Media Honorees, complete list. So I'll blow this up a little bit, and you'll be able to see all of the Zago Brothers illustrations all in one. But we're going to go through and look at each one of these individual pages and who they're featured, talk about them a little bit, and have some fun. And then we're going to go into some of the older ones, see how long we go on that. And I've actually got some stories from some of the people featured here and in other older previous classes, like Consortium News. Holy crap. But I don't want to focus on that. I want to focus on the class of 2024. All right. So first we've got the journalists. All right. So the first journalist on the list is Chris Hedges. Everybody knows who Chris Hedges is. Pulitzer Prize winning journalist. Okay. Now on each one of these pages, it features the Zago illustration on like a nice little card, as well as all of the links to support and find all of their work. Okay. That's Spotify. That is, if they're on Substack, a link on every page to the Zago Brothers. Okay. And so this is Chris. Chris, he would have been an Indie Media Award honoree previously, but he kind of worked for a network in the past. So his independence was kind of, it was kind of weird about that, but especially after
we've had some difficulty trying to define independent in this regard too, right?
Absolutely.
Like, government funding, that kind of stuff might, if you don't see certain people, that might be why. Yep. Not that they don't do good work, but right. For us, we've been trying to go solely user funded as the,
we try
one
to.
of the criteria, but try to.
Yep. At least at the time that they were nominated, that they were given their award. Sometimes they go work for a campaign, also unaffiliated with any political campaign. Sometimes, occasionally, they may go work for one afterwards. We've seen that happen now. We're trying to figure out how to handle all that. Honestly, it's kind of still a work in progress. It's only the third year, and these still are great journalists either way. So we got Chris Hedges. Again, Chris Hedges kind of needs no introduction, but he worked for the New York Times. He's written books. But he was famously, he had an RT show that was canceled when the sanctions happened in March of 2022 with the strategic military operation that happened in Ukraine. Then he signed on with the Real News Network, I believe, and he had a show over there. And we wanted to see kind of what happened there. And he then went off on his own. And we're like, well, now for sure, he's as independent as it gets. So he certainly belongs up there. So I felt like Chris certainly had earned it, of course, by far. And so he definitely belongs as an independent. Next one, funny enough, has been in the news recently, and you might have seen this guy. His name is Asa Winstanley. He writes for the Electronic Intifada. He's written for several other publications. And he was arrested, or not arrested, actually. I want to get it technically correct. His door was knocked on by the UK counterterrorism police. They confiscated his devices. They did not arrest him, but they questioned him and basically gave him a very stern warning, which was intimidation at straight up intimidation to try to stop his in-depth and incredible reporting on Palestine. His main his Substack is Palestine is the issue. So he writes both with the Electronic Intifada as well as for his own Substack. Again, Palestine is still the issue. So that's why all these journalists, a lot of these journalists you'll find this year have been outspoken in their support of Palestinian people, because there aren't many, and it takes a lot of courage, honestly, to do that, because it's the right thing, and because it's unpopular, and because it's getting a lot of people canceled, and it's getting a lot of people unfollowed and unsubscribed, and revenue is being lost from subscribe. We're seeing a lot of things happening and a lot of shift, and Asa Winstanley is right in the heart of it. And so I felt like he was absolutely, and that was before all of this had happened with the UK police. I had provided a list to Zago in the middle of August on who I wanted to see on this list and who we were considering to have illustrations made. So he was in consideration in the running long before any of that had happened, because he's been doing the work for a long time. So again, he's also on Twitter, Instagram. I included it wherever I could, the Muck Rack bio. Muck Rack is a really good website, incredible resource. They figure out how to...
It's a Pokemon, very clearly.
They figure out...
is a Pokemon.
Well, maybe. But they figure out how to scrape all of the websites that they publish, that these journalists publish on, and they provide kind of like a running tally of all their articles, regardless of publication. And they do a pretty good damn job, I got to say. So that's why I include their Muckrack bio, even though that's a third-party website. It's independent, and I appreciate the work that they do. So next, after Asa Winstanley, is Asa Winstanley's boss at the Electronic Intifada, Ali Abu Nima. Right? Another guy you might have heard of. He's been around a long time, Chicago activist. He's been around since the 90s fighting for Palestine. All right. And when Asa's devices were taken, it was Ali that wrote the article, or that wrote the piece that was letting the world know what had happened.
Wow.
So we've got Ali Abu Nima. Again, electronicintifada.org is the website he publishes at. But we've also got his Twitter account, his Instagram, which I think might even be private. I don't remember. I tried to find every link that I could, just by searching them and by kind of following the breadcrumbs in the links and the descriptions on some of the videos that they're in, etc. But Ali Abu Nima has been doing outstanding work for years and years and years, and certainly deserving of an Indie Media Award, because Electronic Intifada is independent. Another journalist who has been doing incredible work and has been featured often.
One I've been pulling frequently,
frequently on INN News, is Robert Inlakesh, who he publishes for Mint Press. He's also a member of The Last American Vagabond, who's Indie Media Award honoree as well. So, that's so we can support Robert's work. Robert is over on Twitter. There's his Muckrack bio. He also has a Substack, but hasn't published there for a while.
Coming to a Substack newsletter near you.
She didn't set one up yet, but I think that we had a couple more defectors from corporate media this week. But yeah, Robert, you can track him over there, but I would follow him on Twitter. That's where he's doing his best work. But also on mintpressnews.com, another Indie Media Award honoree. He writes for, some of the journalists that write for some of the best outlets. So it makes a lot of sense that they all kind of work and run together. Okay. So next we've got Andy Worthington. Wow. You want to talk about Andy Worthington, my friend. No, a fighter for Julian Assange, fighter for the prisoners at Gitmo to be freed.
Yes.
Andy is an amazing freelance investigative journalist. He's author of the Guantanamo Files. He's published, He's created documentaries about what's going on down at Guantanamo and how they've treated the detainees that are still not convicted of any crime or even being tried, by the way. Yep.
Misty's had him. I've had his stuff on.
Oh, yeah.
Good stuff.
Yep. CloseGuantanamo.org is Andy's website. All right. He's on Twitter. He's on Instagram, YouTube. You can follow him on all these different places. Andy Worthington, amazing work. Definitely give him a follow. He's fighting a fight that few are fighting. So I give a ton of credit to guys like that. And this is thankless. This is totally thankless. All he does is get grief for this from certain circles. From us, he gets praise, but that doesn't make him any. What is it? He's fighting, and nobody else is really fighting for them like Andy is, and I appreciate that. And he's got other members of Close Guantanamo. He's not the only member, thankfully, but so glad he's out there and doing that. So we've also got, it's kind of funny, Matt Kennard. A lot of people know Matt Kennard through Declassified, but Matt has also been writing on his own. He's been publishing to his own Substack some of the older interviews that he had conducted prior to founding Declassified. I've also seen him on a different YouTube channel besides Declassified. I'm not sure if they're affiliated yet. I think it's called like A Spec or A something, A Political. But Matt has been doing, wow. We featured a ton of Matt's work on How Do We Miss That over the last 3 years. He's been talking about the Israeli spy flight, the British spy flights and U.S. spy flights running out of Cyprus to support Israel's effort to bomb Gaza and Lebanon and everywhere else in the Middle East. Matt, again, another fighter for Julian Assange. He was standing outside the courthouse in London in February when they held the 2-day trial that we even covered on INN and on my other channel on Indie Left Media. Matt is one of the best there is. I mean, and he's tough. He asks really tough, good questions. An outstanding interviewer. So support Matt, Declassified. There's where you can find him. He's even on Threads. If they were on Threads, I tried to find every single place I could find them. And he's also written a book called The Racket. He's also written a book called The Racket, A Rogue Reporter versus the Empire, the American Empire. He worked for the Financial Times at one point. Wow. Yeah.
Yep.
So I had to kind of do a little bit of a deep dive and a vet on everybody and kind of what did they do before and how did they kind of end up in this space and how independent are they really? Like, we want to make sure that they're not corporate funded and corporate aligned. That's not what we really want to feature here. These are the people that don't get the shine, that aren't amplified by an algorithm. Now, we move into the live streamer podcaster category, and there aren't very many. You know what? Yeah, we're good. We're good. But before we do that, you know what? Let's just do it. Let's drop the slide one more time. Thank you so much to everyone who supported INN. Special shout outs to Sean Miller. You're amazing. I love you. Anna Mayers, Charlie Mack, Cynic, everybody, Carnival Hill. Wow. Thank you so much for your support. Deborah Grossback.
Thank you all.
Really, there's so many people on this list. I can't even thank everybody on there, but thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Really. This is Formal Indie. Hi, everybody. I just wanted to show off my tux. Really. I'm very proud of it. I'm very proud of it.
Yep.
Here, let's even go to a single.
French
Just
cuffs
so,
on.
just so you can see it all big. Yeah, everybody. Woohoo! Yeah, that's right. Like and subscribe. Where else are you getting stuff like this on a Sunday night? Come on, everyone.
Nice.
All right.
Nice news tux. Very
Thank
nice.
you. Thank you. Nice news tux.
Welcome.
That's right. All right. So we've got the Duran, and a lot of people, amazingly enough, when I mention the Duran, they go, "Who?" The Duran are an enormous channel. They have like 350,000 on YouTube, and they're one of the biggest channels on Rumble. They have a podcast. They're on
Not
Locals.
to be confused with
Not Duran.
the Duran.
Not the Duran.
Right.
No, it's not the Reflex or anything. No.
No.
Everybody was thinking the same thing. No, the Duran are two dudes, a British guy named Alexander Mercouris and he's an American Cypriot, apparently, living in Cyprus or Greece, Alex Christoforou. And they do a live stream like 5 days a week. They publish articles. Each one of them has their own channel that's also incredibly successful, that has a lot of supporters. They're a global channel. They call themselves the #1 geopolitics podcast in the world. As you can see there, I kind of grabbed whatever I could off their website. Right, wow. And they're on a lot of different platforms. I think they were actually taken off of Facebook, but they're on Rockfin, and they're supported, completely user supported through Patreon, through locals. And I believe originally, and they may even be still affiliated somehow with RT, because Peter Lavelle was their executive producer early on, but they are completely user funded and independent. But I think they definitely at one point got a boost, and they're user funded, 100% user funded. All right. Yeah. Commentator and analyst, as he said, he posts his videos on Rumble about ongoing conflict, about Russia, Ukraine, but also about Israel, Palestine, about the war and its impacts on region. All right, so that's Alexander, and we got all of Alexander's links that are different, including the Duran ones. And then we've got Alex's links. Alex also president and chairman of the Duran, so he runs it officially. I've also seen them have Glenn Deason on as like a floating co-host, and they do really, really solid, about hour-long interviews.
I mean, right now, you're kind of a floating co-host, but that's different. Well,
sort of.
Like, you have no legs.
I'm more like a Wally co-host. Eva. What? Where'd that come from?
Eva.
Oh, boy. Yeah, I knew you were going to pull that. All right. All right, we're doing that. Okay. So the next one is a special honoree. And I think that a lot of people here know who he is. I think he is currently out of prison. He was issued a ridiculous 6+ year sentence for whistleblowing, while the people he blew the whistle on are completely not in prison. I actually have the videos that he recorded about his story, which is like 20 minutes, and the why I'm in jail. We actually watched this on How Do We Miss That when we covered David's story back in June, and that has a Friendly Jordies segment in it also.
Great Friendly Jordies bit.
Yes, great Friendly. They're sitting in a bathtub to start.
Friendly Jordies.
Hilarious.
Oh no.
All right, but what David needs are postcards. And what David needs is support. David could use donations to his legal fund. He's completely on his own right now. He's got to fight appeals. And again, he could use all of our help. He is a hero. He's a whistleblower, and he's Australian. And if you haven't seen his story, you can click right here and watch the videos on this page. Again, at the indiemediaawards.substack.com. And he's also got a link tree, linktr.ee/David McBride. So again, everybody who has met him, loved him. I think, were you on a Action for Assange with him, Reef? Am I correct? Somebody I know was on
I think so.
Somebody I know was on an A for A with him. Maybe, I can't even remember who. And they didn't realize who they were
Would have
on.
loved to, but
they didn't even realize at the time who they were on the stream with. I'm like, did you even realize? And they were like, oh, no. Oh, my God. Wow. Yeah. So support David. Support whistleblowers. All right. Who do I have next? I may be a little bit out of order here. Yeah, I kind of wanted to save him for the end, but I had a feeling he was going to be next. I think everybody here has certainly heard of this guy.
Julian?
Yeah, that guy, the Licky Leaks guy. A lot of what we do is about press freedom and printing what is inconvenient, and so many quotables and so many things are dedicated. So much time at this network and on this show has been dedicated to this man's case. Many of us did not think he was ever going to see the light of day. And holy shit. We covered the last 3 years of it, plus almost 4. And I remember watching Richard Medhurst, cover from the Old Bailey every day live, run out and go to his hotel and report on what had happened during the day when Daniel Ellsberg testified and when all of these experts had testified, and then Gostola gets on, and we're watching person after person. I mean, an entire community developed out of supporting this man. He brought a journalist community together to fight for press freedom. God, I'm like, I'm tongue-tied a little bit, but of course, he founded WikiLeaks, in case you didn't know. Why was he in prison? Reef, would you like to kind of tackle that?
For unlawful skateboarding in an embassy? No. For calling out plenty of the war crimes that our government has taken part in. Between Vault 7, the double tap video, there's an entire list, So they couldn't have that. So they tried to get him for espionage and treason and all that fun stuff. So spent, 8 years in the Ecuadorian embassy, and then was in Belmarsh for how long was he in Belmarsh for?
Almost 5.
Do you remember?
5.
Right.
We April 11th was 5 years, and we thought he was going to celebrate his, I think, 53rd or 54th birthday on July 3rd in Belmarsh again. And surprisingly, at the end of June, all of a sudden, we saw him get on a plane and fly to the Mariana Islands and stand trial and plead guilty to journalism. And we heard him speak for the first
Natalie
time.
Williams in chat, he called out DNC cheating, NSA spying, collateral murder. Founder of WikiLeaks, So, the best publisher in the world at the time.
Never had to print a retraction.
Never had to resend a story. Yep.
Now there is still some of the WikiLeaks archive that is down, and I don't know exactly when or if that's ever, how that's going to get restored and what's going to happen now that he's out. But a couple of
supposedly he had to delete a bunch of files, right?
Right. But on September 30th, he actually spoke at the PACE hearing, which was the Council of Europe held a hearing and then a Q&A session for certain members to be able to ask Julian direct questions and hear him kind of answer off the cuff. And again, it was something to see. There were a lot of questions still to be asked. There's still a long way to go, but this was a lot further than any of us ever expected to be right now. And, the wonderful Jesse Jett, INN member, and he provided our intro show music tonight, the pre-show music, wrote a recent piece called The Win. And if I encourage any of you to go back and watch either of the last 2 episodes of live episodes of American Tradition where he performed it live. And it talks about that he couldn't necessarily feel the joy that everybody else did. While we're thrilled that he's out, there was a sacrifice that still had to be made, which we all kind of expected. We would have had to give up something, and he would have had to give up something, and it's unrealistic.
Never let anyone take your joy from you.
Oh, dude, don't even ruin this moment with that voice, please. That's that.
Yeah.
Yeah. But, you know, yes, Jesse, Jesse wrote Conviction, Winter in Belmarsh. And this was a follow-up. And kind of, he wrote it in the days following Julian getting on that plane and trying to capture his emotion during that moment and freeze that in time, which again I certainly appreciate. So damn, man. Yeah. Well, I didn't want anyone to have to follow that, unfortunately, but we've got still a bunch more to go on this list because I messed up the order apparently. So now we're up to the outlets. This is an incredible outlet that's popped up in the last few years. They are totally user-funded nonprofit. They have traveled worldwide and have covered stories in Africa, in Libya, in South America, in Cuba, in the Dominican Republic. They have really been outstanding international organization, Breakthrough News. All right.
Here's a clap for that.
And I'm sure many of you know Rania Kalik, who went over there recently, a couple of years ago. She joined Eugene Purier, who is one of the founders or the founder of Breakthrough. They brought on Kay Pritzker. They also have Brian Becker, who's there as well. And I'm sure a tremendous supporting cast, tremendous, outstanding supporting cast. They would hate that I did that because they hate Trump. I know they're aligned with the PSL and friendly with the PSL and supportive of them. And that's fine. Again, fully independent, user-funded, and they're doing incredible work to challenge the state and imperialist narrative out there. So I had no qualms about putting them in. So not only do you have like a shot of just the three of them together, each one of them gets an individual one that they can share or download or whatever they want. And I'm going to either I have or am planning to email this and send notification of this to the creators to let them know, thank them, and this is again funded by you guys. Thank you. Really. This is why like all of these beautiful illustrations done by the Zago brothers were funded by you and by us until we can get fully funded, and then they're all funded by you. But right now we're making up the difference. Next outlet, we mentioned Ali Abunima, we mentioned Asa Winstanley, but it would be almost a crime to not mention the outlet that they work with and support and have amplified and created, the Electronic Intifada, which is Ali's organization. He is the editor-in-chief, I believe. But there are a lot more people. They do a live stream. John Elmer is a frequent host. They also have Nora Barrows. Freeman, I think is her last name. I apologize. And so, again, live streams about Palestine, articles about Palestine, podcasts, and outspoken and loud and brave, and one of the few out there that's been doing it for a long time. Not just, again, this didn't start October 7th. These guys didn't start October 7th. Let's just say that, right? So that's the Electronic Intifada. Again, all of their links are at these pages at indiemediaawards.substack.com. There's a post
Nice.
for each one of them. Thank you. Now, the last year, now some things did happen on October 7th, and some things did change, and some people did pop onto our radar since October 7th. And Motaz Azaiza is one of those people that ended up in my Instagram feed and on my Facebook news feed on a regular basis. Palestinian journalist based in Gaza, struggled They got him out. He actually got out. He worked for UNRWA, but he's a photojournalist, and he was taking pictures and posting them on Instagram. And I believe Time Magazine even published one of his photos as one of the top 10 photos of the year for 2023. There are the links to find and support Motaz. So again, incredible artwork by Zago Brothers. We don't know enough about a lot of these Palestinian journalists. This is someone that I followed and saw him post on a daily basis what he was going through and how he was living, and still going out there and providing us with some kind of an idea of what was happening there. And just, again, so much gratitude. And now he's flying all over the world and talking about it and speaking out on behalf of Palestine. So, shout out and big thank you to Motaz for doing that. At Zago Brothers, all one word, on Twitter. Again, on every page, there's a link to their original poster that originally caught my eye and sparked the discussion about, hey, would you be willing to do this for the Indie Media Awards? And we came up with a deal, and he was happy to support, and he's been amazing to work with. Again, big shout out to Lucio Zago and Zago Brothers, and he's available for commission work. So if you are able to, and if you want to have some kind, and he doesn't just do illustrations, he does all kinds of artwork. You can see on his website, again, linked on every page.
And we're, have you said how that's going to work for us about posters and whatnot?
I haven't even started with that yet. I haven't even started, honestly. But we're gonna, again, the idea is that you'll be able to choose the people that you want to feature on a poster and order that
individuals
through Lucio,
classes, groups,
right? Right. Top journalists, top live streamers, etc.
If you want all of consortium, if you want all of whatever as its own thing, all will be available.
Right. So
hopefully
we're going to try to work out a way to do that. Lucio has a way to screen print out. Well, this is the guy.
Natalie Williams wants t-shirts.
Wow. Natalie. Well,
might be plenty of merch options. We'll see what's up with Zago when we get things together. So
we need to be careful with that a little bit, because we're using somebody's likeness. So we have to give them a chance to potentially do that themselves. I am providing these free of charge to the creators. This is our gift to them as our thank you. So they would need to basically give us their permission to do that on a t-shirt. And that's definitely something we would be interested and wanting to do. This guy, this guy.
I should have been in here 3 years ago.
Shows up 7 damn days a week. He does the thing.
Yeah.
A lot of us have had a lot of experiences with Steve, and damn guy just does the fucking work. So either way, love him or hate him, he deserves to be here. And that's what there's no reason that he shouldn't be, in my mind, at this point. The guy built
part of that other Indie Media Alliance just came together, so
part of the Indie Media Alliance, Whitney Webb's favorite show to go on, according to him, of course, if you ask him. Hilarious. Indie Media Award honoree, Whitney Webb. But a lot of the honorees from past years go on AM Wake Up, Slow News Day. But the AM Wake Up channel is a lot more than just the AM Wake Up show that Steve started with Pasta 2 years ago. Steve took a big risk, and he decided to chuck it all and move to Vegas and start a network, start a channel, and rent a studio and take on a co-host, Pasta, that he had never worked with before. Another Indie Media Award honoree, courtesy of the Convo Couch. All right, our brother Pasta. Shout out, big love to Pasta. We'll look at his Zago illustration in a little while, and maybe
P.
Right, brother P. But Steve and Pasta started AM Wake Up. Pasta decided after a year that he was going to move on and do some other things, and Steve had to figure out what to do. And he created not just a show for with a cast of characters. T-Lev Tuesday, Ryan Christian shows up every Tuesday for as long as he can hang. Texas Slim and a whole different group of anti-capitalist and, well, to a point, I call him an ANCAP, but anti-imperialist for sure, and certainly questioning the narrative, the World Economic Forum, fighting the system, and figuring out how to opt out of digital IDs and all the things that are trying to be captured by the wealthiest. And he's usually pretty far ahead of the curve, even though he's gonna clip this and put this up over and over again. I fucking hate that you're gonna do that, but shit, man, you know you're
Steve.
You know you're ahead of the curve.
Anyway. Make him have a weird voice or something. I don't know.
Damn it.
Do something fun with it.
So we got all his links here for the AM Wake Up Show. He's the guy who introduced me to the value for value system. All right, so value for value is that he puts all his content out there free of charge. I give a lot of credit to that, and that is how we chose to operate at INN. A lot of based on the model of the way that Steve, and not just him, but Adam Curry and No Agenda Radio with John Dvorak. And there's a ton of different people that have followed this model. I know Rove Morek and a lot of the Independent Media Alliance folks have done that. And I just think that that's, a crowd-funded, user-funded channel. A user-funded channel is the way to go, because we don't have to read. He likes to talk about how he doesn't have to read a bunch of promo codes or read a bunch of ads before the stream. And it's completely dependent upon you. And some months that works out great, and some months that works out not so great, but it keeps us independent, uncorrupted, and I wouldn't say, unbiased, or biased towards the people who are trying to fuck the system. And when you start going for the clicks or the money, it tends to cloud that judgment, we have found.
Yep.
So shout out and kudos to Steve and AM Wake Up. Give them a shout, give them a support if you don't know them already. A lot of you already do in chat. Another outlet that I have featured a lot in 2024. Big fan of, on How Do We Miss That in 2023, Council of State Media. They were originally founded by this guy named Ricky to report on UK politics. And then they started talking about UK politics with relation to Palestine, and they said, basically, we're not going to stop until this is over, until they stop bombing kids. And then when that happens, they created a separate anti-imperialist newsletter specifically geared towards that, and they will push Council of State Media back towards UK politics. But even still, they've done incredible work to call out Tommy Robinson, for example, and a ton of other creators, a ton of other bad actors in the UK. We just did a story recently that Ricky wrote about a Israeli company that's charging rentals for wheelchairs. And that's our friend Ricky over, and he's over on Substack, councilstatemedia.uk. And I have been connected with him for, I'm guessing about 2 years now, and outstanding work, consistent, and started with a big Facebook page, migrated that over to this platform over here, and has had his Facebook visibility deboosted and reduced. And thank goodness that he's got this newsletter and this reach, because without it, we're dependent on these algorithms. So again, that's why we're big encouragers of people to start their own newsletter. Right. We've got a couple more. So we've got Normal Island News is one of my personal favorites in the last year or two. The snarkiest, and she likes to call herself the UK's second most reliable news source after GBB's. But it's all parody. She writes everything incredibly tongue-in-cheek, and I giggle and I snicker at the most horrible shit you can imagine. because she somehow finds a way to make it funny. Kudos to her. I put her right up on a pedestal up there, honestly, with a Caitlin Johnstone. She's that good. Most people don't know who she is or are not following her. Laura Kay, Normal Island News. Give them a follow. They're also somehow connected with Council of State Media and Ricky. Laura also had a baby in the last year. She announced publicly in her Substack, so congratulations to that. Congratulations. Right? So that's funny. Natalie Williams, that's a high compliment. Normal Island News is Misty's UK Sarcasm Stardust twin. That might be. You know what? I do see a similarity in the look between Laura and Misty. That's a good call right there. And again, you can find her over on the Substacks, but she also posts to Twitter. Snarky as hell. She'll post long form. She'll post short tweets. She'll post a little X at the end of it. And mostly she's kidding, but the sad thing is half the time she doesn't, you can't tell if it's real or parody. She's the best thing since The Onion, really. I mean, outstanding. Amazing stuff. Love her to death. Another one. All right. Outstanding outlet. I found these guys within the last year, maybe a year and a half. Thought about giving it to them last year, but I did not have enough of kind of like a resume or a body of work to say that they're going to be around and consistent and do outstanding work. The last year, holy crap, they've been incredible. Decensored News, if you have not followed them yet, decensored.news. All right.
Pull yourself together, man.
Awesome outlet. They have a WordPress website where they write original articles and curate articles from other independent creators. They're on Twitter. They have a link tree. Rumble, fully user-funded and supported. They are aligned and friendly with Sam Husseini, Independent Indie Media Award honoree from last year, journalist. And now they've joined the mix also. They have a Rumble, and I don't know if they really produce videos yet. That might be something that they're going to do on the horizon. It's mostly a publishing outlet where you're seeing articles mixed with tweets, and then you're seeing kind of tweets in article form published up to Twitter. Just last week with the Jeremy Lafredo story where Jeremy was arrested and held captive by the Israeli police. Decensored put out a whole bunch of tweets about that, and it was quote tweeted by Max Blumenthal, and that got decensored. Hopefully a lot more recognition, because they certainly deserve the amplification. There are so few outlets that put in on a daily basis, independent, that are user funded, and we've got to support them and shout them out. Again, they're so good. And I've made contact with D, another Anon, kind of like me. Definitely American, definitely good peeps. And then we got, I think this might be our final one. This is a Misty selection and a Misty suggestion, and one that I 100% agreed with, and everybody agreed with. I mean, it was just, wow, yep. Paula, a lot of people don't know who Paula is, but if you watched Misty's live stream in July about the Assange activist, you would certainly know who Paula was.
Yep.
If you had ever seen
her on our show too.
Yep. If you had ever seen or retweeted, Assange Defense Boston or DC Action for Assange DC. I have a little bio. Paula joined the Assange movement in March 2018. That was when Julian's internet was cut off the embassy. She was brought in on the Reconnect Julian campaign, which was run through Unity for Justice in 2018 and 19, helping to amplify global action. October 20th through 2024, she's been organizing with the Boston area Assange Defense, which she began with Susan McLucas, their co-founders. But also in 2020, she helped organize actions with Action for Assange in DC, and not just 2020. She's been doing this for the last 4 years. All right. She's the reason why the vigils outside Merrick Garland's house were taking place. How many of those happened? A lot. She was doing those pretty much solo for a while. Then Misty says we got the DC group started. They took over those, but she's solely responsible for the beginning. She also created one of the most important resources for all Assange activists out there, the Assange Case Evidence Files. And if you'd like a copy of that, she'll send you a link. All right, she created that last September, and it's a massive compilation information about the case, all the things and all the goings on throughout it. And then from February and May through May, she also did a postcard call campaign about House Resolution 934. She then converted that to a Pardon Assange campaign that she is continuing to push, which we certainly appreciate. That's her Twitter. I'm going to get other links for her out there. I did not really get very many yet, but anything that she wanted me to put out there, she said, hell, just put my Twitter. So I did. And we love you, Paula, and we really deeply appreciate you. On her birthday, I actually sent her the Zago illustration as a gift to let her know that we had this made and that we love her so much and we really do appreciate her. You know, it's the people out there that are really doing the work on a daily basis that don't get the public shine, the recognition that we really wanted to feature and honor and support and showcase. And Paula's one of those people who, you know, you showed up or you saw all of these things on banner drops in Boston, and she's right in the middle of it. You didn't even realize, but she was there the whole time. Amazing work. All right.
Yep.
So that's our honoree list. I did create kind of a compilation image there that will be available by the Zago brothers as a vertical poster. He did arrange that. I don't think I have it up right now, but we can certainly look for that. All right. Well, you've seen the 2024s. All right. We're going to go through some of the older ones, or at least through some of the category pages. But before we do that, I want to one more time put up a plea that if you are able to, you saw all this amazing artwork. There are over 120 illustrations that we had done between logos and faces, and just incredible. We even asked Lucio to do all the INN members. The white that you see around my head tonight is a Zago Brothers illustration as well. Zago, Reef and Colin. I don't think maybe Colin's on. Yeah, Collins and Himbo and Big Mad Crab have all changed their profiles, as well as I think Rob Durden might have made his as well. But everyone at INN got one, and they can choose to do whatever they want with it. All right. But yeah, we're on Cash App, and Ko-fi is the best way to support if you're able to. If not, share the stream, share the show. All right.
Natalie says, check your Cash App, by the way.
I did. And thank you, Natalie. Wow. That's an amazing, that's beautiful. I don't know if you want me to say how much that is, but that's very generous. Thank you. And you're amazing. And I love you. And Natalie's also an annual subscriber. Again, I don't want to embarrass you, but to Substack, and she supports independent media. She supports the media she wants to see, because without us, guess what? You're stuck watching corporate media. You're stuck watching corporate independent media or reading that. Like, what's left? I mean, it's so sad, but that's why we started this, because we wanted to be the media that we wanted to see. Because we were in chats like all of you, and we were like, let's give this a shot. We have some opinions. We think we can try to do this, and it's freaking hard work, let me tell you. I gained a new respect for all of these creators, and it is another reason why I feel like they're deserving, because I see the work that they put in on a daily, weekly, monthly basis, etc. And they have consistently been there and put in the work over time. All right. So the top independent journalists. Now, I have not updated the pages. I couldn't get that done yet because I want the same URLs to stay consistent, and I need to do that afterwards. But these are the 2023 and 22 honorees combined together in the journalism category. And you've got, first of all, John Pilger. We lost John Pilger since we gave him an award at the end of October, and then we lost him in December, and that was a monstrous blow. And Consortium News just this week is featuring documentaries of his, and on their YouTube page. They did a part 1 and a part 2. So by all means, go check out Consortium News. Last month, Mark Curtis from Declassified UK and John's son Sam relaunched johnpilger.com under the Declassified servers, and to make sure that all of his work would be preserved. And thank goodness for that. And we really appreciate Mark and his effort in that. And there's the website, and still a Twitter that you can follow, because his family or whoever manages that does post news when there is something featuring John still. But John was a legendary investigative journalist and supporter of Palestine for his entire life, and on the right side of history many, many times. His documentaries are, wow, historic in libraries, and classes are taught on what he's done. And he's one of the legends out there. And he was also, by the way, a good friend of Julian Assange. And it's beyond a crying criminal shame that he did not live long enough to see Julian walk out of Belmarsh, and they were not able to hug each other. And that's one of the sad things. But I had to, of course, have a Zago illustration drawn of John, and so glad he did that for us. Thank you. Ford Fisher, news to share. The man on the street, the man with the camera, the man behind the camera. You so very rarely see this man, but he's out there like all the time. And he's filming raw footage. He films all political sides of the spectrum. It doesn't matter, left, right. He just wants to get the footage and to capture what was happening live and let you make your own decision about what you're seeing. And I appreciate that. That's what journalism actually is. It's pointing a camera and providing some kind of context, but at the same time, showing people what's actually happening, not just telling them what you think is happening. So I give a lot of credit to Ford and News to Share.
Great stuff.
He's also,
and if you share any of his stuff ever, try to credit him. It shouldn't be that hard.
Well,
at News to Share, throw that in there.
He might claim you if you don't too.
So that too, and he has every right to. Works hard for that footage.
Yes, he does. News to Share is also affiliated with Matt Taibbi's Racket News, who I think we might even see him coming up soon. But this guy we certainly talked about a lot this year on How Do We Miss That? CJ Hopkins. I might have even shown this Zago illustration a couple weeks ago. CJ just had a Kafkaesque trial in Germany, and we've been covering his trial for about a year and a half now.
Kafka.
Yeah, wow,
Look at
Kafka.
you being cultured.
Right? Well, it kind of feels like he's on trial, and he's basically been convicted
Us
already.
newbies call that Lynchian.
Well,
yeah,
he's been on trial, and for publishing a book cover, very famously. You can go back and watch all the CJ Hopkins clips on How Do We Miss That? There's about 5 or 6 of them from when he was first told that he would be arrested and jailed if he didn't pay a fine and go to court. And then he was acquitted. And then the German prosecutor appealed the acquittal, which in the United States couldn't happen because of double jeopardy. But apparently in Germany, they can do that. They did not like that he had published a swastika very faintly on a surgical mask in defiance of the German, to try to compare what the German measures under the COVID-19 restrictions were and the narrative that had built up around that compared with the narrative around compliance with Nazi Germany. And it wasn't an unfair comparison, and he had done so, and it was not promotion of Nazi propaganda, which is what they have accused him of and now convicted him of. Amazingly enough, he is now a convicted hate speech felon in Germany. How nice. All right. And that links to his website, cjhopkins.com. I meant to be able to blow that up, but apparently I didn't do that. He is also very active on Substack Publishes. He works with Off Guardian. His website is consentfactory.org, so definitely go support and check out CJ. He's a salty crank, and I love him. Even though he's tough as nails, and nobody's right on everything. Look, everybody's got their issues. But what? Good.
Plenty of people are right on everything, but they never get it either. So,
well, except for me. But I'm kidding.
He's done some good stuff.
Yes.
Independent.
Yes, for sure. This guy,
he will most likely continue to do good stuff.
I would hope so. But this guy, I think most of you know who he is. We've also covered a lot of his articles on our show in the last 3 years. That's why he earned one last year when he had started Racket News. A couple years before, left Rolling Stone very famously, wrote on his own as TK News for a while, then decided to turn it into a full-fledged outlet and bring on other writers after the Twitter Files, very famously. The limited hangout, yes, that Elon Musk handed him, Barry Weiss, Michael Schellenberger, Alex Berenson, and several other writers, snippets of what was requested about internal communications at Twitter prior to Elon Musk taking over during the Jack Dorsey era, about censorship, about their coordination with the U.S. government. He has since worked with Undead Foya to recreate and rebuild the Twitter files in reverse in something called the Foya files that are filling in some of the gaps that Twitter did not necessarily give them, or answering things or getting information that Twitter didn't have about the U.S. government's communication, both with Twitter as well as with other entities around censorship around the 2020 election and other issues like COVID that they went after and others. So, Matt, some people, he's controversial in a way. A lot of people, he was famously called in front of Congress in 2023 to testify about the Twitter files. And then they sent the IRS to his house to try to intimidate him and back off of that kind of reporting. And he didn't. And thankfully, he's kind of stuck to his guns. Now, I would say that I'm a little disappointed with his lack of coverage about Israel-Palestine, but he's been challenged about that. And his point is that he doesn't feel like he could bring anything unique to the table. It's not his issue. He's not an expert in it. He would rather rely on other people's areas of expertise, and he wants to stay in his lane, which I understand. And okay. You gotta, I respect it, respect it or not, that's his decision. That's fair. But I respect that he at least answered the question and didn't just hide from it and not address it at all. Because there's plenty of those too. All right. Julian Conley is one of the writers over at Common Dreams. Does outstanding work. Go support Common Dreams. They're really in trouble and struggling for funding right now. So give them a follow. And if you can support them in any way, a lot of the people here already do. And there's so many people to support. That's part of the problem with independent media is there's only so many people, so many outlets that each of you can possibly watch and support. So I get it. And we all get it. And we're so grateful for anything that anyone can do to support. Common Dreams is one of the few outlets now. I have not been crazy, honestly, about a lot of their coverage, but they certainly have covered strikes. They have covered the progressive left, and they certainly challenge Democrats, as in there aren't very many larger publishing print outlets. There's Off Guardian and several, and they're all here, Unlimited Hangout, that size, that are nonprofit, that publish on a daily basis with a staff of writers that push much harder than these guys. And I give them a lot of credit for that. And I challenge them when they're weak.
We've had Brett Wilkins on.
Yep.
Like, I think twice. So you did pretty good work.
Right.
So
Common Dreams. Go ahead.
Who's the other one I'm thinking of? Brain Work.
Brett Wilkins. I don't know if we've had anyone else from Common Dreams.
Other one.
Have we had
We
Common
haven't had
Dreams?
anyone on, but we've used their stuff before.
Oh, Jake Johnson. We've used
I just
plenty of
can't think
Jake
his name.
Johnson.
That's it. Yep.
John Quayle. I read an article of his just last week on the show. We've used a lot of Common Dreams. Tariq Haddad was a big Assange supporting writer who's actually writing a book about the Assange case. And that's why he earned an award last year for journalism. So he reached out earlier this year. He barely checks his Twitter. It's like he didn't even realize that, we had done this last year. And he's like, wow, that's really cool. Thank you. Really appreciate that. That's awesome. But I'm working on this book. So here's a friend of the show, friend of the network, and friend of Julian Assange, Stefania Marizzi, Italian journalist, not Tara Reid's twin, although a lot of people think that they are separated at birth.
They do look similar.
She's as good as they get. She has been reporting on and trying to get leaks and submitting FOIAs in 8 or 9 different countries to try to assemble what the governments were doing, and how they were persecuting and trying to chase Julian to the ends of the earth and expose that.
Her book is fantastic.
Right.
If you've not read that, you should.
And there's her Amazon bio. You can pick it up there. She's written articles for Il Fatto Quotidiano, which is an Italian
Quotidiano.
All right. She's on Twitter occasionally. She's got her own website that she's published to in the past. But right now it's IFQ. That's really where she's been publishing. And she interviewed Stella recently. I think she was one of the first people actually to interview Stella after the PACE conversation last month. All right. Another outstanding independent journalist who we saw publish a crazy expose just this week about the CIA intending to monitor Gaza is Dan Cohen from Uncaptured Media. Dan was working with Mint Press. He was working with Abby Martin. He went off on his own and took a shot. He recently became a father, I think, last year. Frequently appears on Redacted as a guest host, not as a guest host, but as a guest pundit, he's talked about a lot about Haiti, and also reported on Palestine, Global South, and a lot of anti-imperialist stories really in the last few years. So yeah, there's Dan. So again, all these illustrations are by Zago Brothers. On every page, you'll have a link to be able to find Zago, because I want to give them their due credit. Lucio did, again, beautiful work. Dave DeCamp, I love the kind of Mr. Potato Head beard a little bit, in the way, like the I love how he did that. The illustrations look incredible. For those who don't know, Dave DeCamp does anti-war news with Dave DeCamp on a 5-day-a-week live stream show basis. They're on Rumble. They're on YouTube. Show's about a half hour long. Goes through the stories on antiwar.com. Antiwar.com also will be in here for 2022 as an outlet. We're just going through the journalists from 22 and 23. All right. Anti-Wars News with Dave DeCamp is also a podcast, which you can listen to on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. You can see I've got that linked, as well as the antiwar.com website. And he publishes and writes nice short stories that Reef can cover very quickly on INA News. and Colin, and we all can.
Very nice.
Very nice.
Thank you, Dave.
Thank you, Dave. Really. This guy also has been incredibly outspoken inside the White House press room and challenging Count Smirkula, Matt Miller, and challenging Vedant Patel, Fat Sagar, and all of the State Department and White House clowns, even Karine Jean-Pierre, the extremist, Sam Husseini, and he recently did an interview, a sit down with Fiorella on her Rumble channel. Please, by all means, go check that out. Fiorella, of course, also 2022 Indie Media Award honoree. So Sam is independent and has been for like 25 years. He's on all these different platforms. He also publishes to Substack, so you can check him out all these different places. Check out Sam Hussein. Gordon Dimmock, friend of the show. I love this guy. I adore this guy. A fighter for Julian Assange, like big time. And he's doing TikToks now. Now he's over on TikTok and Telegram because I think he's gotten censored off of everywhere else. He's also got a YouTube channel. I don't think he publishes to his Rockfin anymore, but I've got every channel I could find him on out there. Go check out, hook up, and follow Gordon and support him. A British journalist, makes videos, writes about world news, and again, stood out there and protested and fought for Julian Assange's freedom from outside the Belmarsh prison and the Old Bailey and everywhere there was a trial or anything that was held for Julian. The human chain around Parliament, I know he was very famously there as well. Gordon, we could always count on to be there and cover the story as an independent. All right.
Yes, sir.
Here's our friend Shanda. Hi, Shanda.
Why are you gonna be weird like that? Huh?
Well, because it means even more this year that we had already recognized Shanda for her outstanding work, and now Shanda needs our help, and Shanda's our sister, and Shanda's fighting a battle, and she's kicking cancer's ass already. But she was diagnosed with small cell lung cancer in August, and this entire community has rallied around her, and we love her, and we've been her team and her support network behind her, and her advocates, and Amber from Roar Media and Oz has been there every step of the way. And Oz, I'm guessing, will be the next slide that I choose. Shanda has a GoFundMe set up. If you had not already donated or known about it, I'm guessing Reef can probably drop the link in there. We're on our way to raising her $30,000, if not more. She's going to need it. She will be on November 4th, starting both radiation and chemo, her next treatment. She had 3 days last week. It kicked her ass, and then she kicked its ass. And she's going to be she did a show last night. You would never know that she had been going through any of this. She's just a fucking superstar and a champ. And we love her so much. And wow. There's all the other ones. But hang on, now I got to get back to my Shanda tab. Where was it? Where'd it go?
Monsters.
I lost it.
Ah.
I don't know what happened here. All right. Well, let's go to a 2-shot and I'll bring it up. Hey, that's what we'll do. Is that it? No, that's Council of State. Okay.
Does your computer ever seem to have a mind of its own?
That is absolutely perfect and fitting for the moment, sir. Thank you. I
You're
appreciate
welcome.
that. I've completely lost my whole spot here and flustered because I had to put up a GoFundMe because there wasn't any way that I wasn't going to do that for Shanda. All right, so we've got our 2023 honorees. We were getting through that. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
All right, back to that. And that was our 2023 grouping here. So we've gotten through a lot of them already. Let me get back here and find Shanda right there. All right. Shanda is the co-host of Beauty and the Boomer. She is the host of Trailer Park Pundit. She had a show To Hell and Back with Pasta that talked about recovery that was really in-depth and you know, she had to reveal a lot of personal stuff in there and a ton of credit and just, you know, immaculate professional. They do amazing work. She and Oz on Beauty and the Boomer. Linda over also with Roar Media. So that's Shanda. And then, of course, my brother, Oz, the Boomer LaFave, producer extraordinaire, behind the scenes. A lot of people know him and love him. He's the co-host of Beauty and the Boomer with Shanda, of course. And, but he also produced a lot of the live streams that you watched in 2021 and 2022 and 2023. And you didn't even know. I
love Oz.
We all love Oz. But he was behind the scenes making the decks and running the live streams and the chats for the creators that we know and love. And he's awesome. When I'll tell you a story, sure. when Tara Reid found out that her podcast would no longer continue with RT in, again, March of 2022, it was Oz who stepped up and offered to help set up a live stream for Tara and says, well, what are you guys going to do? How are you going to do that? And helped us kind of figure out how are we going to help Tara and produce a show for her, an interview show that was high quality, professional. The work this man puts in every week on his AI thumbnails, you don't even realize just how much. I'll gush a little bit, and he'll be modest and humble about my bragging about him, but I'm going to do it anyway. He is selfless and a worker, and he gives a crap about people, and he puts the time in. And I can't say enough about Oz, really. He's one of the best people in this space, and I wish there were 1,000 Oz's. The world would be a lot better place if there were even one more Oz. So, yeah, go support Oz, Beauty and the Boomer. I'm sure he would say to support Shanda in her GoFundMe, because fuck cancer. Yeah. We're gonna beat cancer, and we're gonna win. So, this guy is recently back on the scene. He took a nice hiatus after he got his Indie Media Award last year. That was not by design or anything, but I kept begging him, hey, come back, man, we need you. And just around 2024 election time, I guess he decided that he wanted to. He appreciated the illustration and appreciates, you know, being honored and recognized as one of the tops, which I appreciate him. He's one of my personal favorites also, like Laura. He asks excellent questions. He tweets out some great stuff, and he's on Instagram. Follow Primo Radical. He used to be Primo Nutmeg originally, and then changed to Primo Radical a few years ago. He's interviewed just about everybody that you've watched and a ton of different Indie Media Award honorees. Just this week, he just published a couple of interviews with somebody about the Great Reset, as well as the Socialist Equality Party candidate running for president, Joseph Kishore. Interesting, fascinating discussion. Mm-hmm. I encourage everyone to go watch that if you're interested in watching what that guy had to say. I kind of was. So that's Primo. You can find him on all of these different platforms. All right. And then we've got Randy Credico. Wow. You want to talk about another legend. All right. Randy hosting shows, supporting Julian Assange, and he ran a billboard truck in DC and New York City, all around the city, raising awareness and getting people and talking to people about what was happening to Julian and getting people angry and speaking about it. All right. And wow, he did a ton of this. Again, after 14 years, his mobile project had come to an end. I'm old in the tooth and the tank is empty. And that was a couple of weeks ago. Because, you know, Julian's out. But look, we still want to fight for a pardon. But a lot of that work, we're tired.
We love you, Randy.
I love it. I love that you got that sound bit. That's awesome. I know you've been waiting for that.
Yep.
All right. Then, of course, we've got Nico. All right. Nico, who founded Mikasa Sukasa Network, which is one of the original.
Nico is on another level.
Which is one of the independent networks that INN was modeled after, which is a bunch of independent creators that had their own channels and following, and coming together would form kind of like a super friends group that would help and amplify each other. And that was the thought and concept behind Mikasa Sukasa. And it, you know, it evolved over time. And Nico evolved over time. And then he started, you know, Mikasa Sukasa evolved, and Fiorella went to RT, and the Convo Couch went its way. Fee. Hey, Fee. Yes. And everybody kind of went their ways. Nico had to figure out what's next for Nico. And he took a little bit of a break, and he came back with Hotspot. And he's been doing these great videos with Hotspot and creating a brand new media outlet there and working towards that. Okay. And you can find him, of course, on all these different platforms. And we had Lucio make illustration of him, of course, again, Zago Brothers. Nico is over on Twitter, Instagram, Telegram, TikTok. Of course, he's got a YouTube channel too. I don't know why I'm missing his YouTube channel. All right. Yes, and Adam Ayers points out that Nico was actually inspiring back during the DNC lawsuit. He goes all the way back there to the Beck lawsuit against the DNC in uncovering the DNC saying that they could go into a back room, smoke-filled back room, choose a candidate, and that's completely legal and within their rights to do so. And guess what just happened? Hey, how about that? The next guy is another one of the Independent Media Alliance members, along with Steve and many others, Charlie Robinson, who is also the host of Macroaggressions podcast, as well as he's a member of Union of the Unwanted. Okay. He's written a couple of books called one, The Octopus of Global Control. I think he's working on his next book now. He had a TNT radio show for a while, but of course TNT radio is no longer on the air. I need to update that. But you can download, listen to his Macroaggressions podcast, which he puts out weekly or a couple times a week. And again, on Rockfin, on all the podcast platforms. He's on Telegram as well. Charlie's great dude. Great dude. Looks and goes deep on stuff. Corbett Report, speaking of going deep, the one who may go the deepest and another member of the Independent Media Alliance is the Corbett Report. And James, I really appreciate, because he's always focused.
Deep, and we're going hard.
Oh, God. He's focused on solutions. Focused on not just complaining about what's going on in the world, but what can we do? How can we fix it? How can we work around it? So big fan of Corbett Report. If you're not following them already, he's on Substack.
Yep.
They have a website directly that you can subscribe to. You know, direct supporting these creators off any other platform is the best way to go. That's, I think, what the Independent Media Alliance is also gearing towards, so that they can't be shut down by any entity and by any platform. That's the idea. Okay. And then we've got a podcaster by the name of Political, who shouts out a lot of political protest music. This was a nomination last year by Jesse Jett. He actually featured Jesse on the podcast, but he features a ton of protest music. David Rovix, for example, has been featured many times on Political. And like we said, we shout out the unknowns, the people that don't necessarily get all the visibility but do incredible work. Political would certainly be in that category. So by all means, go support and follow Political. They're a member of the Moving Train Radio family of podcasts.
Yep.
Right. And again, we're still in 2023. We've got our Racket News outlet made up of Orf. I don't know. I didn't see Orf yet. Oh, no, because we haven't gotten to the video creators yet. Orf, Ford Fisher, and Matt Taibbi. All right. And then there's all the Racket News links and their logo as well. All right. Then we've got Aaron Brockovich. You know, most people would say, Aaron Brockovich? One of these creators is not like the other. Maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe. However, all right, Aaron started a Substack 3 years ago to no fanfare and just started writing with a co-publisher, a woman by the name of Suzanne Boothby, and reporting about what's happening with Flint and what's happening with Jackson, Mississippi, and what's happening with water issues all over the country. And few outlets
The
do
Ohio
that.
stuff, I think, right?
She talked about East Palestine and she went there. Few outlets do that. Few people do that. And, you know, I don't know how many people remember or were alive in the 90s. She was the subject of a famous movie starring Julia Roberts by her name, you know, called Aaron Brockovich. She was an activist and she worked for a lawyer and she helped identify problem in California with PG&E contaminating the water and giving the residents of Hinckley, California, cancer. And they got a huge settlement payout to which she earned 7 figures herself. She got a huge bonus for it. That was the end of the movie. That was real. So she's able to hold people accountable above the corporate sphere. And she does. And she really points out what's happening with water. And she, again, like Corbett, provides solutions. How do you filter your water? Where do you go when your town is wrecked? She provides resources for that. So big fan of Aaron. Not Julia Roberts, but Aaron Brockovich. Although she famously said, they're called boobs, and that's like one of my favorite lines of hers.
Ed.
Right. But the Brockovich Report at brockovichreport.com is definitely a subscribe worthy publication and you know, worthy of honors. Off Guardian is one of my favorite dissident outlets by all means. They're completely deboosted. For a while they had like one of those dangerous link things put up for them on Twitter, and they've been the victims and targets of a lot of censorship because their name is Off Guardian, because they print stuff that you would never find in The Guardian because The Guardian is shit propaganda. Right?
Yep.
Kit Knightley and Kat Black are the co-founders. There's Kit. All right. Like I said, Kit Cabello, there's a Kit, the third Kit. He wants to get Kit Clarenberg, Kit Cabello, and Kit Knightley on a Kit stream.
Yeah. The Kit cubed.
Right?
With a K.
Kit to the third party. Now, we also have our friend Orf. All right, Orf, who we all kind of learned about and met a couple years ago, probably through the Bernie years. He famously put together a compilation video of Bernie that went super viral. But he's been putting together compilation videos for the last few years, and he works with Racket News, but he also has his own Substack where he writes and publishes. He does live streams and exposés. He did a couple of articles just this week, so give him a follow, support him. I love the illustration that Zago did of his. But yeah, that's Orf. News to Share, we mentioned earlier. That's Ford Fisher's outlet that he started. So give them a follow and support. Case Study QB. This guy watches all the footage that nobody else wants to watch. And man, this guy's got to have like a bottle of Alka-Seltzer or something sitting right next to his wherever he watches. I could not watch the level of corporate media that he consumes in order to call out and identify the monstrous shit that they say. And it's a valuable service, and many of the live streams we watch use Case Study QB clips. And that's why, again, as a video creator, I felt like he was more than worthy. He also does his own live streams. I don't know how often he's been doing them lately. He set up a Substack, but I don't think he publishes there yet. but mostly they're on YouTube, and you can watch them, watch their clips put out there on the YouTubes. All right. Then who's next? My brother Joe. I miss Joe. Joe, a lot of you know Joe. Do you know Joe? That Joe. It's me, Joe. Reef knows Joe. Reef helped recruit Joe to INN.
You?
Joe is the one INN member that is an Indie Media Award honoree. Because I felt so strongly about his work and his body and the body of work that he had done in the 2 years that he was doing this, that he had earned it. And then literally the week that I told him, he said, I've kind of lost my taste for this and I'm done. And I'm going to put out my swan song video and I'm out, and dropped the mic and left. And came back for a minute in February and said hello and disappeared again. But he's welcome back anytime. I love the man to death. I don't know if any of these TikToks are still up. I think they might have all been taken down. His Twitter is still up. His Twitter is still up. Let's see. Is this
YouTube
gone?
somehow is still up.
Couldn't find this account. What a surprise. By the way, INN's YouTube was also taken down. Yeah. Couldn't find any of these accounts.
TikTok, you mean?
Yeah. Yes, INN's TikTok. That's right. Not YouTube. Sorry. He also he's on Substack, but he doesn't publish there.
A winner.
I've put a couple of his videos that I had in my library on INN's Substack to get out there to our database of email subscribers, because it's just such great stuff. I actually published a video of his this week that I found about Anna Kasparian and Cenk Uygur talking about kissing politicians' asses, which I thought was especially fitting this week around election time. So it had never been put up to YouTube, so I hit publish on it, and we all got kind of nostalgic and reminiscent for Joe. And anytime he wants to come back, I love that guy. Go follow his Twitter, and you'll see a collection of some of the funniest damn videos and memes you can imagine. Here's another one of my favorites, and a friend of the show, friend of the network, does hilarious videos. Turncoat Don. Everyone loves Turncoat Don.
Yep.
Turncoat is a big Taibbi and Greenwald fan, Jimmy Dore fan. He has famously kind of spliced independent media figures in CNN and corporate media kind of views to make it look like they're talking to somebody on corporate media on one of their shows and saying stuff that people would never be allowed to say on corporate media. They're great. I love doing that. Love when he does that. He tries to keep his videos under 2 minutes and 20 seconds. He does also have a YouTube channel, but Turncoat Don, and I turned to Zago and I'm like, look, man, this guy used a South Park character as Mr. Garrison as his avatar on Twitter. How the hell are we supposed to represent that on?
He's like, I'll just draw.
He's like, how about I just like make it a blank? I'm like, in that same style. I'm like, so he saw that, he sent me that. It fractured me, it killed me. I love the look. It looks great. Again, Lucio Zago Brothers, incredible artwork. This guy, a lot of people don't know him. Ryan Graham, the Independent Review. The Independent Review is actually a weekly compilation that started a year and a half ago.
Ryan Graham. Make sure you pronounce that perfectly so it doesn't get confused with someone else.
Graham. Every Friday on the AM Wake Up channel, but he also has all of his own channels. He started doing this about a year and a half ago. I saw it right from the first episode that he started putting these together, and he compiles kind of the best of independent media every week, from Derek Bros and AM Wake Up and Whitney Webb clips and T-Lav clips, and amazingly enough,
he'll show INN News,
INN clips. He'll show How Do We Miss That sometimes. Just wow, I'm so honored to be included with, to have our stuff included with what I consider to be some of the best in independent media. And he consistently puts it out every Friday. It's about a 3-hour live stream. And then at the end of the stream, he jumps on with Steve and they do a little StreamYard live. You can follow him and support him on all these channels. Again, I've been a supporter and a fan of Ryan's, and I got what he was trying to do in amplifying the independents that don't get the visibility but are doing the best work. So he's kind of like the video complement in a way to what Independent Left News was. He puts together like a clip live stream, about 3 hours. So go follow him and go support that, and you'll be able to get in 3 hours some of the best clips across independent media every week. Here's our friend Post-Duopolist, who yelled at me and said, "What the hell did you do put me on this list? I don't belong here." Guess what, bro? You do. You do. You put up awesome clips, and you help them go viral and call out some of the people that need to be called out. And once again, Zago did it up with their logo, which is just orange, and a elephant and a donkey shitting on the country, which is legit, with a gun held to their head. That's pretty legit. And pretty descriptive of what's going on in this world right now. That's our friend Dirtbag Left One, Dirtbag Leftist, or Post-Duopolist. You can follow him over there. He's only on Twitter. That's the only place you can find him. I've asked him, "Hey man, have you set up anywhere else?" Nope. That's where he wants to be. That's it. So give him a follow. Okay, so that's our outlets. Then I want to go back to the awards and go to our 2022s. Where are we? We're at 11:45. All right. No, I think we're
articles,
good.
Yeah.
I think we're good. I think that's more than enough. There's a bunch more. Again, you can go and look at them by category here. You can look at them by year underneath 2020. All the 2023s and all the 2022s are right there. I will build one for 2024 that hasn't been made yet. It will be. I'll have to be working on this site the next day or so, and you'll see this updated much better. But I did have a couple of things I wanted to bring really quickly. I didn't even realize that was still up there. See, I need to look. Before I do that, let's one more time make a plea. You saw this incredible artwork. You paid for that. Thank you. Right? Cash App, Ko-fi, two best ways to do it. PayPal, Patreon, if you're able to subscribe monthly. Also at innnewsletter.com. INN Newsletter is great because you're going to get a daily update of everything that's going on at the network. That's live streams, articles, clips also that are put out from those live streams every day, just about. All right. But like I said, I did have a couple of things very quickly, but the big one is, and I did not put their page up because they're 2022, but Consortium News was hacked. Yes. Consortium News right now, if you go to Consortium News, I don't believe that they're up right now. You're getting like a blank web page that's like a generic WordPress page when you first start a WordPress site. All right. So I wrote this up today after seeing this last night, and I can't understand why every single independent creator isn't screaming from the rooftops about this. Yes, I get that websites get hacked occasionally, and that happens to creators, but this is the oldest website on, the oldest news website basically on the internet. Started in 1995. All right. They announced last night that something happened, and originally was every article after June of last year got wiped out. But then after midnight, they actually said that 7 recent data breaches, and now it appears their site has been totally replaced. They've been hacked. I reached out. I tried to get them some help. They posted an update earlier. #1 Russian hacker. Right, about that it was a sophisticated attack on multiple levels. They also stole and hijacked the URL. They fixed that. And a few others. They have daily backups. They're working on getting the site back up. Hopefully it will be back up soon. Shout out to them and all the support. This is what the website actually looked like when you went there. There's no logo, wasn't anything. All right. And yeah, they got hacked. So there's much speculation on who would want to do that. We don't know. And I don't want to even start doing that. I want them to get the site back, and then we'll figure out who did what. I'm sure they'll get some kind of forensic investigator to look at that. Follow them on Twitter or on Elon's shitty platform, but that's where they post updates. So follow them there, and I'll try to keep updated on my site as well. But that's consortium. I also wanted to do a follow-up about Conyers. Scott C. Smith, the water warrior from Purdue University, he went and did both soil samples from East Palestine as well as from Conyers, Georgia. Go check out his reports that he published. They're not good at all, not good one bit. All right, but these are the levels of pH he found and different chemicals that he found in the water sample within 1,500 feet of ground zero at the biolab fire in Conyers. So go follow at Water Warrior 1. That's Scott C. Smith, right, on Twitter. And there was a report, I think, that was published this morning with more detail about this. One of the other things that we've been talking about the last couple of weeks has been the Boeing strike of the machinists striking against the company for a better deal, for restoration of the pension that they gave up in 2014, for increase in, was it wages to, was it 42 an hour or something? They want more hourly wages, $40 an hour. They're being offered 35. And last Sunday, I went kind of off about how the union heads made a cut rate crappy deal. And guess what? The machinists voted against it and voted to go back out on strike. So labor union news, but not only labor union news, but Indie Media Award honoree 2024, Luigi Morris from Left Voice, wrote a great article this week about the Boeing strike continuing, and that 2/3 of the honorees are, I'm sorry, 2/3 of the union rejected the contract and voted to stay on strike. So God bless them. And thank you, Luigi. And thank you to the Boeing workers for seeing the bullshit and rejecting that offer that was cut rate. All the workers stand with you and are watching. I also want to give a shout out to our friend in the chat, the Golden Monarch, who I shout out almost every week at this point, but he started a publication this year, in the last couple of months, goldenmonarchnews.substack.com. He has been writing about the Ponzi scheme that is Bitcoin and crypto, and exposing the players that are involved, and exposing the schemes, and going back and learning about who actually is Satoshi Nakamoto and trying to do a deep dive on that. They then did a documentary recently on Netflix. I asked him recently, could you put together like some kind of a list of who all the real crappy players are, the worst of the worst, the biggest scammers of the year with regard to Bitcoin and crypto? And so he made a list, a top 5 worst of list. Okay. And I'll show you who they are right there. I'll give it away. By the way, Substack added a table of contents. So if you ever want to see all the different title tags, you'll be able to see that right there. But he's got the top 5 being Kamala Harris, Natalie Brunell, Max Kaiser, the Bitcoin maximalist, crazy lunatic person, Donald Trump, and Michael Saylor. And then he's got some dishonorable mentions and reasons why. I highly encourage everyone, go to goldenmonarchnews.substack.com and check that out. I showed Shanda's GoFundMe earlier, so by all means, please go and support Shanda at her GoFundMe. That will be in that. I think that is in the description. I'll make sure that is in the description afterwards if it is not already. Again, she will be back tomorrow for Trailer Park Pundit. So 1 p.m. Eastern every Monday. Check her out there. Again, you never know that she's going through what she's going through because she's just a champ and a pro, and she's incredible, but she needs our help, and I'm there to help and share and support and do whatever we can. 2 more things, just INN newsletter. Every day, except for yesterday because we didn't have any new content to put out, but every day, basically, we put out
coming to a Substack newsletter near you.
That's where it is published, yes, at Substack. We put out a daily newsletter of all the articles, clips, and live streams for that specific day. And we also put out a weekly update, all for $0. I do this for free just because I'm a crazy person and I love doing it. And I want everyone to learn about all the incredible content we make every week because there's so much of it. All right. But in addition to INN newsletter, there is Indie Media Today. And that's where I publish the clips from How Do We Miss That? That's where I write articles like the one that I covered tonight about consortium news being hacked. That is where I share also the weekly update on Saturday. So if you didn't get it on Friday through INN newsletter, I share it to a much larger group of subscribers on Saturday through my newsletter. How do we miss that? Live stream alerts every Sunday. So you're going to get those as well as when I do a guest appearance on a show like when I was on Hard Lens on Friday. Shout out to Kit Cabello, who may still be in the chat, for supporting independent media, having me on, talking about the Indie Media Awards. Indie Media Award Honoree 2022 for top live streamer, Kit Cabello, Hard Lens Media.
Cheers and salutations. Smoke them if you got them.
That guy, I was on AM Wake Up a couple weeks ago talking about the Rockfin stuff. I wrote articles about Rockfin. All those articles are here under original articles. And you can just go to see all and boom. Look at that. It's every article I've ever written on this site. And I've written quite a few in 2024 alone. All right. And even going back, I wrote Indies Tech Tips. Now, unfortunately, it doesn't go all the way back because this is looking at a tag, and Substack only put tags in place in 2023. So all the stuff I did in 21 and 22 isn't there. But that's the newsletter. Subscribe, support, and again, indiemediaawards.substack.com. That is the homepage for all of the creators, top journalists, top live streamers and podcasters, top outlets, top video creators. I got to add one for activists and special honorees. You'll find all the 3 years there and each individual, and that will cover the whole spectrum. And
black and gold aesthetic. Sorry, it's just classy. It's very classy. You know.
Thank you, Anna Mayer's
nice,
Cash App. We got another Cash App coming through. Woohoo! Thank you. Appreciate that. One last time.
Thank you all.
Support independent media because we need it more than ever. And I really do believe that and live it. I was out there beating the drum today for consortium news, big time, and trying to get more people sharing and learning that their site was down and getting the word out and let people know and to support them. And they also rely on user funding. They're a 501c3. Your donation to them is tax deductible if you are in a bracket that you can do that. And again, everybody needs your support. But this was a blast. I love doing this show. I love supporting independent media and the journalists and all these people. You know, where would we be without this group right now in the last 4 years? It scares me to think. So support them, and thank you to everyone. Really, we couldn't do this without you. We love you, and we're gonna do an uncensored boat smashing into other boats in a few minutes.
Why are we still here? Just to suffer?
We're here because we're here. Roll the bones is the answer. Why are we here?
I don't want to do this no more.
Because we're here. Roll the bones. All right.
Who are these people?
Now, shout out to Cheese Slice, who sent me a brand new Who Are These People this week. This is Lopan.
Who are these people?
So, everyone who knows who Lopan is, thank you, Cheese Slice, for the contribution there. And we will see you on boats, on Rumble, Kick, and Twitter. We're going to run a QR code stream over on YouTube, so you'll listen to some Jesse music looped, but if you want to watch us do some goofy shit on Boats Uncensored and play some stuff that we may not be able to play on YouTube, come watch us over on Rumble. The chat is pinned to the QR code stream, so you can watch either the link to the Rumble stream. Reef will also put it in the chat here. So thank you, everyone. Again, I'm so long-winded. I apologize. Jewish goodbye. Support independent media.
Jewish rapscallion.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody. See you in a bit. Wait.
Hasta la vista, baby. I'll be back.
No! We just fucking lost the stream!
I think I liked it better being blind, when I couldn't read between the lines, and when I couldn't see the cracks in the structure that lay bare before me the whole time. I think I liked it better back when I suspended disbelief and swallowed pride. I thought I knew the difference in the red from the blue, but they both bleed us so dry. They both bleed us so dry.
My favorite songs don't hit the same way. I get to the end of a 4-minute track and I'm only looking back thinking, what did they actually say?
So I try.
It's a great American tradition.